Steal This B.O.O.K. by Abbie Hoffman. Dedicated to Jerry Lefcourt, lawyer and brother. Library of Congress number 72 to 157,115. Stolen from Library of Congress. Copyright 1971 Pirate Editions. Table of Discontents. Introduction. Aiding and abetting. Survive. 1. FREE Food. Restaurants. Food programs. Supermarkets. Wholesale markets. Food conspiracies. Cheap chow. 2. FRE Clothing and Furniture. Free clothing. Sandals. Free furniture. 3. FRE Transportation. Hitchhiking. Freighting. Cars. Buses. Airlines. In-city travel. 4. FRELAND 5. FREE Housing. Communes. Urban living. Rural living. List of communes. 6. FREE Education. List of free universities. 7. FRE Medical CRE. Birth control clinics. Abortions. Diseases treated free. 8. FREE Communication. Press conference. Wall painting. Use of the flag. Radio. Free telephones. Payphones. 9. FREEPLAY. Movies and concerts. Records and books. 10. Free money. Welfare. Unemployment. Panhandling. Rip-offs. The International UP Currency Exchange. 11. FREDOPE. Buying, selling and giving it away. Growing your own. 12. Assorted freebies. Laundry. Pets. Posters. Security. Postage. Maps. Ministry. Atrocities. Veterans benefits. Watch. Vacations. Drinks. Burials. Astrodome pictures. Diploma. Toilets. Fight. 1. TELLIT all, brothers and sisters. Starting at printing workshop. Underground newspapers. High school papers. GI. Papers. News services. The underground press. Switchboards. 2. Guerrilla broadcasting. Guerrilla radio. Guerrilla television. 3. Demonstrations. Dress. Helmets. Gas masks. Walkie-talkies. Other equipment. 4. Trashing. Weapons for street fighting. Knife fighting. Unarmed defense. General strategy rep. 5. People's chemistry. Stink bomb. Smoke bomb. CBW. Molotov cocktail. Sterno bomb. Aerosol bomb. Pipe bombs. General bomb strategy. 6. First aid for street fighters. What to do. Medical committees. 7. Hip pocket LAW. Legal advice. Lawyers group. Join the army of your choice. Canada, Sweden and political asylum. 8. Steal now, pay never. Shoplifting. Techniques. On the job. Credit cards. 9. Monkey welfare. 10. Peace now. Handguns. Rifles. Shotguns. Other weapons. Training. Gun laws. 11. THE underground. Identification papers. Communication. Liberate. 1. Fuck New York. 2. FUCK Chicago. 3. FUCK Los Angeles. 4. FUCK San Francisco. Introduction. It's perhaps fitting that I write this introduction in jail, that graduate school of survival. Here you learn how to use toothpaste as glue, fashion a shiv out of a spoon and build intricate communication networks. Here too, you learn the only rehabilitation, possible hatred of oppression. Steal This book is, in a way, a manual of survival in the prison that is America. It preaches jailbreak. It shows you where exactly how to place the dynamite that will destroy the walls. The first section, Survive, lays out a potential action program for our new nation. The chapter headings spell out the demands for a free society, a community where the technology produces goods and services for whoever needs them, come who may. It calls on the Robin Hoods of Santa Barbara Forest to steal from the robber barons who own the castles of capitalism. It implies that the reader already is ideologically set, in that he understands corporate feudalism as the only robbery worthy of being called crime, for it is committed against the people as a whole. Whether the ways it describes to rip off shit are legal or illegal is irrelevant. The dictionary of law is written by the bosses of order. Our moral dictionary says no hiding from each other. To steal from a brother or sister is evil. To not steal from the institutions that are the pillars of the pig empire is equally immoral. Community within our nation, chaos in theirs. That is the message of Survive. We cannot survive without learning to fight, and that is the lesson in the second section. Fight separates revolutionaries from outlaws. The purpose of Part 2 is not to fuck the system, but destroy it. The weapons are carefully chosen. They are homemade, in that they are designed for use in our unique electronic jungle. Here the Uptown Reviewer will find ample proof of our violent nature. But again, the dictionary of law fails us. Murder in a uniform is heroic. In a costume it is a crime. False advertisements win awards. Forgers end up in jail. Inflated prices guarantee large profits, while shoplifters are punished. Politicians conspire to create police riots and the victims are convicted in the courts. Students are gunned down and then indicted by suburban grand juries as the troublemakers. A modern, highly mechanized army travels 9,000 miles to commit genocide against a small nation of great vision and then accuses its people of aggression. Slumlords lure rats to maim children and then complain of violence in the streets. Everything is topsy-turvy. If we internalize the language and imagery of the pigs, we will forever be fucked. Let me illustrate the point. America was built on the slaughter of a people. That is its history. For years we watched movie after movie that demonstrated the white man's benevolence. Jimmy Stewart, the epitome of fairness, puts his arm around Cochise and tells how the Indians and the whites can live in peace if only both sides will be reasonable, responsible and rational. The 3 R's imperialists always teach the natives. You will find good grazing land on the other side of the mountain, drawls the public relations man. Take your people and go in peace. Cochise, as well as millions of youngsters in the balcony of learning, were being dealt off the bottom of the deck. The Indians should have offed Jimmy Stewart in every picture and we should have cheered ourselves hoarse. Until we understand the nature of institutional violence and how it manipulates values and mores to maintain the power of the few, we will forever be imprisoned in the caves of ignorance. When we conclude that bank robbers rather than bankers should be the trustees of the universities, then we begin to think clearly. When we see the Army Mathematics Research and Development Center and the Bank of America as cesspools of violence, filling the minds of our young with hatred, turning one against another, then we begin to think revolutionary. Be clever using Section 2. Clever as a snake. Dig the spirit of the struggle. Don't get hung up on the sacrifice strip. Revolution is not about suicide, it is about life. With your fingers probe the holiness of your body and see that it was meant to live. Your body is just one in a mass of cuddly humanity. Become an internationalist and learn to respect all life. Make war on machines, and in particular the sterile machines of corporate death and the robots that guard them. The duty of a revolutionary is to make love, and that means staying alive and free. That doesn't allow for cop-outs. Smoking dope and hanging up chess pictures, no. More a commitment than drinking milk and collecting postage stamps. A revolution in consciousness is an empty high without a revolution in the distribution of power. We are not interested in the greening of America except for the grass that will cover its grave. Section 3 liberates, concerns itself with efforts to free stuff, or at least make it cheap. In 4 cities, sort of a quick US on no dollars a day. It begins to scratch the potential for a national effort in this area, since we are a nation of gypsies. Dope on how to move around and dig in anywhere is always needed. Together we can expand this section. It is far from complete, as is the entire project. Incomplete chapters on how to identify police agents, steal a car, run daycare centres, conduct your own trial, organise a GI, coffee house, start a rock and roll band and make neat clothes, are scattered all over the floor of the cell. The book as it now stands was completed in the late summer of 1970. For 3 months, manuscripts made the rounds of every major publisher. In all, over 30 rejections occurred before the decision to publish the book ourselves was made, or rather made for us. Perhaps no other book in modern times presented such a dilemma. Everyone agreed the book would be a commercial success, but even greed had its limits, and the IRS and FBI following the manuscript with their little jive rap had a telling effect. 30 yeses become 30 noes after thinking it over. Liberals, who supposedly led the fight against censorship, talked of how the book will end free speech. Finally, the day we were bringing the proofs to the printer, Grove consented to act as distributor. To pull a total solo trip, including distribution, would have been neat, but such an effort would be doomed from the start. We had tried it before and blew it. In fact, if anyone is interested in 4,1969 UP calendars, they've got a deal. Even with a distributor joining the fight, the battle will only begin when the books come off the press. There is a saying that freedom of the press belongs to those who own one. In past eras, this was probably the case, but now, high-speed methods of typesetting, offset printing and a host of other developments have made substantial reductions in printing costs. Literally anyone is free to print their own works. In even the most repressive society imaginable, you can get away with some form of private publishing. Because America allows this, does not make it the democracy Jefferson envisioned. Repressive tolerance is a real phenomenon. 2. Talk of true freedom of the press, we must talk of the availability of the channels of communication that are designed to reach the entire population, or at least that segment of the population that might participate in such a dialogue. Freedom of the press belongs to those that own the distribution system. Perhaps that has always been the case, but in a mass society where nearly everyone is instantaneously plugged into a variety of national communication systems, widespread dissemination of the information is the crux of the matter. To make the claim that the right to print your own book means freedom of the press is to completely misunderstand the nature of a mass society. It is like making the claim that anyone with a pushcart can challenge Safeway supermarkets, or that any child can grow up to be president. State legislators, librarians, PTA members, FBI agents, churchgoers, and parents. A veritable legion of decency and order already is on the march. To get the book to you might be the biggest challenge we face. The next few months should prove really exciting. Obviously, such a project as Steal This Book could not have been carried out alone. Isaac Haber shared the vision from the beginning. He did months of valuable research and contributed many of the survival techniques. Carol Raymer and Gus Reichbach of the New York Law Commune guided the book through its many stages. Anna Kaufman Moon did almost all the photographs. The cartoonists who have made contributions include Ski Williamson and Gilbert Sheldon. Tom Forcade of the UPS patiently did the editing. Bert Cohen of Concert Hall did the book's graphic design. Amber and John Wilcox set the type. Anita Hoffman and Lynn Borman helped me rewrite a number of sections. There are others who participated in the testing of many of the techniques demonstrated in the following pages and for obvious reasons have to remain anonymous. There were perhaps over 50 brothers and sisters who played particularly vital roles in the grand conspiracy. Some of the many others are listed on the following page. We hope to keep the information up to date. If you have comments, lawsuits, suggestions, or death threats, please send them to drabbip.0, Box 213, Cooper Station, New York, New York 10003. Many of the tips might not work in your area. Some might be obsolete by the time you get to try them out, and many addresses and phone numbers might be changed. If the reader becomes a participating researcher, then we will have achieved our purpose. Watch for a special edition called Steal This White House, complete with blueprints of underground passages, methods of jamming the communications network, and a detailed map of the celebrated room where, according to Trish Nixon, Daddy loves to listen to Manhovani records. Turn up the air conditioner full blast, sit by the fireplace, gaze out the window to the Washington Monument and meditate on those difficult problems that face all the peoples of this world. December 1970. Cook County Jail, Chicago. Free speech is the right to shout. Theater in a crowded fire. A Yuppie proverb. Aiding and abetting. Tim Leary, Tom, Geronimo, Pearl Paper Hanger, Sonny, Pat Solomon, Alan Katzman, Jacob, Con, Nguyen Van Droid, Susan, Marty, Andy, Amy, Marshall Bloom, Viva, Ben, Owen, Robin, Palmer, Mom and Dad, Janie Fonda, Jerry, Dennis, LNS, Bernadine Dorn, A Wall in Harvard, Square, Nancy, an anonymous stewardess, Shirley Wonderful, Roz, Gumbo, Janice, Jimmy, Dylan Liberation Front, Jeannie, Godslick, John, David, Rusty, Barney, Richard, Denny, Ron Cobb, the entire Viet Cong, Sam Shepard, Ma Bell, Eric, David, Joe, Kim Agnew, The Partridge Family, Carol, Allen Ginsberg, Women's Lib, Julius Lester, Lenny Bruce, Hack, Billy, Paul, Willie, Colleen, Sid, Johnny Appleseed, The Rat, Craig, Che, Willie Sutton, Wanda, EVO, Jeff, Crazy Horse, Hugh, Casey, Bobby, Alice, Mao, Rip, Ed, Bob, Gay Liberation Front, WPX, Frank Judoc, Manny, Mungo, Lottie, Rosemary, Marshall, Rennie, Judy, Jennifer, Mr. Martin, Keith, Madame Bean, Mike, Eleanor, Dr. Spock, Afeni, Candace, the Jupim Rose, Berkeley Tribe, Gilbert Sheldon, Stanley Kubrick, Sam, Anna, Skip Williamson, UPS, and D. Stapp, the Yuppies, Richard Brotigan, Yano, Carlos Mariela, the Weathermen, Julius, Jennings Hoffman, Quentin, the inmates of DIRL Cook County Jail, Houdini, 37, Rosa, Luxembourg, the Kent 25, the Chicago 15, the New York 21, the Motor City 3, the Indianapolis 500, Jack, Joan, Malcolm X, Mayakovsky, Dotson, R. Crum, Daniel Klein, Justin, the FBI Top 10, now 16, Eunice, Dana, Jim Morrison, Brian, John, Gus, Ruth, Nancy, Unger, Pun, Jomo, Peter, Mark Rudd, Billy Kunstler, Jeannie, Ken, The Law Commune, Paula, Robbie, Terry, Diana, Angela, Ted, Phil, Jefferson Airplane, Len, Tricky Prickers, The Berrigan, Stu, Ryan, J.B, Jonathan Jackson, The Armstrong Brothers, Homer, Sharon, Fred Hampton, Jean-Jacques Lebel, A.H. Maslow, Hanoi Rose, Sylvia, Fellini, Amaru, Anne, Fetamen, Artode, Bert, Merrill, Lynn, and last but not least Despero What's his name who provided the incentive. Survive. Free food. Restaurants. In a country such as America, there is bound to be a hell of a lot food lying around just waiting to be ripped off. If you want to live high off the hog without having to do the dishes, restaurants are easy pickings. In general, many of these targets are easier marks if you're wearing the correct uniform. You should always have one suit or fashionable dress outfit hanging in the closet for the proper heist. Specialized uniforms, such as nun and priest, garb, can be most helpful. Check out your local uniform store for a wide range of clothes that will get you in, and especially out, of all kinds of stores. Every movement organization should have a prop and costume department. In every major city there are usually bars that cater to the new generation type riffraff, trying to hustle their way up the escalator of big business. Many of these bars have a buffet or hors d'oeuvres served free as they come on to drink more mindless booze. Take a half-empty glass from a table and use it as a prop to ward off the anxious waitress. Walk around sampling the free food until you have had enough. Often, there are 5 or 6 such bars in close proximity, so moving around can produce a delightful street smorgasbord. Dinner usually begins at 5 p.m. If you're really hungry, you can go into a self-service cafeteria and finish the meal of someone who left a lot on the plate. Self-service restaurants are usually good places to cop things like mustard, ketchup, salt, sugar, toilet paper, silverware and cups for home use. Bring an empty school bag and load up after you've cased the joint. Also, if you can, stomach the food. You can use slugs at the automat. Finishing leftovers can be worked in even the fanciest of restaurants. When you're seated at a place where the dishes still remain, chow down real quick. Then after the waitress hands you the menu, say you have to. Meet someone outside first, and leave. There are still some places where you can get all you can eat for a fixed price. The best of these places are in Las Vegas. Sew a plastic bag onto your t-shirt or belt and wear a loose-fitting jacket or coat to cover any noticeable bulge. Fried chicken is the best and the easiest to pocket, or should we say bag. Another trick is to pour your second free cup of hot coffee into the plastic bag sewed inside your pocket and take it with you. At large takeout stands, you can say you or your brother just picked up an order of 15 hamburgers or a bucket of chicken and got shorted. We have never seen or heard of anybody getting turned down using this method. If you want to get into a grand food heist from takeout stands, you can work the following nervy bit. From a payphone, place an order from a large delivery restaurant. Have the order sent to a nearby apartment house. Wait a few minutes in the booth after you have hung up, as they sometimes call back to confirm the order. When the delivery man goes into the apartment house to deliver the order, you can swipe the remaining orders that are still in his truck. In fancy sit-down restaurants, you can order a large meal and halfway through the main course, take a little dead cockroach or a piece of glass out of your pocket and place it deftly on the plate. Jump up astonished and summon the head waiter. Never have I been so insulted. I could have been poisoned, you scream, slapping down the napkin. You can refuse to pay and leave, or let the waiter talk you into having a brand new meal on the house for this terrible inconvenience. In restaurants where you pay at the door just before leaving, there are a number of freeloading tricks that can be utilized. After you've eaten a full meal and gotten the check, go into the restroom. When you come out, go to the counter or another section of the restaurant and order coffee and pie. Now you have 2 bills. Simply pay the cheaper one when you leave the place. This can be worked with a friend in the following way. Sit next to each other at the counter. He should order a big meal and you a cup of coffee. Pretend you don't know each other. When he leaves, he takes your check and leaves the one for the large meal on the counter. After he has paid the cashier and left the restaurant, you pick up the large check, and then go into the astonishment routine, complaining that somebody took the wrong check. You end up only paying for your coffee. Later, meet your partner and reverse the roles in another place. In all these methods, you should leave a good tip for the waiter or waitress, especially with the roach in the plate gambit. You should try to avoid getting the employees in trouble or screwing them out of a tip. One fantastic method of not only getting free food but getting the best available is the following technique that can be used in metropolitan areas. Look in a large magazine shop for gourmet digests and tourist manuals. Swipe 1 or 2 and copy down a good name from the masthead inside the cover. Making up a name can also work. Next, invest $5 to print business cards with the name of the magazine and the new associate editor. Call or simply drop into a fancy restaurant, show a copy of the magazine and present the manager with your card. They will insist that the meal be on the house. Great places to get fantastic meals are weddings, bar mitzvahs, testimonials and the like. The newspaper society sections have lists of weddings and locations. If your city has a large Jewish population, subscribe to the newspaper that services the Jewish community. There are extensive lists in these papers of family occasions where tons of good food is served. Show up at the back of the synagogue a few hours after the affair has begun with a story of how you'd like to bring some leftovers of good Jewish food back to your fraternity or sorority. If you want to get the food served to you out front, you naturally have to disguise yourself to look straight. Remarks such as, "I'm Marvin's cousin," or learning the bride's name, "Gee, Dorothy looks marvelous," are great. Lines like, "Betty doesn't look pregnant," are frowned upon. A man and woman team can work this freeload much better than a single person, as they can chatter back and forth while stuffing themselves. If you're really into a classy free meal, and you're in a city with a large harbour, Check out the passenger ship section in the back pages of the newspaper. There you find the schedule of departures for ocean cruises. Most trips, these kind, anyway, begin with a fantastic bon voyage party on board ship. Just walk on a few hours before departure time and start swinging. Champagne, caviar, lobster, shrimp and more, all as free as the open seas. If you get really bummed and miss getting off, you can also wiggle a ride across the ocean. You get sent back as soon as you hit the other side, but it's a free ocean cruise. You should have a pretty good story ready to go, or you might end up rowing in the galley. Another possibility for getting a free meal is to go down to the docks and get friendly with a sailor. He can often invite you for dinner on board ship. Foreign sailors are more than glad to meet friends, and you can get great foreign dinners this way. FOD programs. In America, there is a national food stamp program that unfortunately is controlled by the states. Many states, for racist reasons, do not want to make it too available or to publicize the fact that it even exists. It is a much better deal than the food program connected with welfare, because you can use the stamps to buy any kind of food. The only items excluded are tobacco products and alcoholic beverages. In general, you can qualify if you earn less than $165 per month. The less you earn, the more stamps you can receive. There is minimal hassle involved once you get by the first hurdle. Show up at your local food stamp office, which can be found by calling the welfare department in our city. Make an appointment to see a representative for your area. They will tell you to bring all sorts of receipts, but the only thing you need are a few rent stubs for the most recent months. An array of various receipt books is a nice supplement to one's prop room. If the receipts are for a high rent, tell them you rent a room from a group of people and eat separately. They really only want to prove that you have cooking facilities. Once you get the stamps, you can pick them up regularly. Some states even mail them to your pad. You can get up to $100 worth of free purchases a month per person in the most liberal states. Large amounts of highly nutritional food can be gotten for as little as 3 cents per meal from a non-profit organization called Multipurpose Food for Millions Foundation, Incorporated, 1800 Olympic Avenue, Santa Monica, California. Write and they will send you details. Supermarkets. Talking about food in America means talking about supermarkets' mammoth neon-lighted streets of food packaged to hoodwink the consumers. Many a yuppie can be found in the aisles, stuffing his pockets with assorted delicacies. We have been shoplifting from supermarkets on a regular basis without raising the slightest suspicion, ever since they began. We are not alone, and the fact that so much stealing goes on and the supermarkets still bring in huge profits shows exactly how much overcharging has occurred in the first place. Supermarkets, like other businesses, refer to shoplifting as inventory shrinkage. It's as if we thieves were helping big business reduce weight. So let's view our efforts as methods, designed to trim the economy and push forward with a positive attitude. Women should never go shopping without a large handbag. In those crowded aisles, especially the ones with piles of cases, all sorts of goodies can be transferred from shopping cart to handbag. A drop bag can be sewn inside a trench coat for more efficient thievery. Don't worry about the mirrors. Attendants never look at them. Become a discriminating shopper and don't stuff any of the cheap shit in your pockets. Small bottles and jars often have the same size cap as the larger expensive sizes. If they have the price stamped on the cap, switch caps, getting the larger size for the cheaper price. You can empty a pound box of margarine and fill it with sticks of butter. Small narrow items can be hidden in the middle of rolls of toilet paper. Larger supermarkets sell records. You can sneak a good LPS into one of those large frozen pizza boxes. In the produce department, there are bags for fruit and vegetables. Slip a few steaks or some lamb chops into the bottom of a large brown bag and pile some potatoes on top. Have a little man in the white coat weigh the bag, staple it and mark the price. With a black crayon you can mark your own prices, or bring your own adhesive price tags. It's best to work shoplifting in the supermarket with a partner who can act as lookout and shield you from the eyes of nosy employees, shoppers and other crooks trying to pick up some pointers. Work out a prearranged set of signals with your partner. Diversions, like knocking over displays, getting into fistfights with the manager, breaking plate glass, windows and such are effective, and even if you don't get anything, they're fun. Haven't you always wanted to knock over those carefully constructed 9-foot pyramids of garbage? You can walk into a supermarket, get a few items from the shelves, and walk around eating food in the aisles. Pick up some cherries and eat them. Have a spoon in your pocket and open some yogurt. Open a pickle or olive jar. Get some sliced meat or cheese from the delicatessen counter and eat it up, making sure to ditch the wrapper. The cart full of items, used as a decoy, can just be left in an aisle before you leave the store. Case the joint before pulling a big rip-off. Know the least crowded hours, learn the best aisles to be busy in, and check out the store's security system. Once you get into shoplifting in supermarkets, you'll really dig it. You'll be surprised to learn that the food tastes better. Large-scale thievery can best be carried out with the help of an employee. 2 ways we know of work best. A woman can get a job as a cashier and ring up a small bill as her brothers and sisters bring home tons of stuff. The method for men involves getting a job loading and unloading trucks in the receiving department. Some accomplices dressed right can just pull in and, with your help, load up. On a few cases, infiltrating an employee into a store is probably the best way to steal. Cashiers, sales clerks, shippers, and the like are readily available jobs with such high turnover and low pay that little checking on your background goes on. Also, you can learn what you have to do in a few days. The rest of the week, you can work out ways to clean out the store. After a month or so of action, you might want to move on to another store before things get heavy. We know one woman working as a cashier who swiped over $500 worth of food a week. She had to leave after a month because her boss thought she was such an efficient cashier that he insisted on promoting her to a job that didn't have as many fringe benefits for her and her friends. Large chain stores like Safeway throw away day-old vegetables, the outer leaves of lettuce, celery and the like. This stuff is usually found in crates outside the back of the building. Tell them you're working with animals at the college labs, or that you raise guinea pigs. They might even get into saving them for you, but if they don't, just show up before the garbage is collected, generally early in the morning, and they'll let you cart away what you want. Dented cans and fruits can often be gotten free, but certainly at a reduced rate. They are still as good as the undamaged ones. So be sure to dent all your cans before you go to the cashier. Look up catering services and businesses that service factories and office buildings with ready-made sandwiches. Showing up at these places at the right times. Catering services. On late Sunday night and sandwich dealers at 5 p.m. on weekdays will produce loads of good food. Legally, they have to dispose of the food that's left over. They would be more than happy to give it to you if you spin a good story. Butchers can be hustled for meat scraps with a "for my dog" story, and bakeries can be asked for day-old rolls and bread. Wholesale markets. Large cities all have a wholesale fruit and vegetable area where often the workers will give you tons of free food just for the asking. Get a good story together. Get some church, stationery and type a letter introducing yourself to whom it may concern. Or better still, wear some clerical garb. Orchards also make good pickings just after the harvest has been completed. Factories often will give you a case or two of free merchandise for a charitable reason. Make some calls around town and then go pick up the stuff at the end of the week. A great idea is to get a good list of a few hundred large corporations around the country by looking up their addresses at the library. Poor's Register of Companies, Directors and Executives has the most complete list. Send them all letters complaining about how the last box of cereal was only half full, or you found a dead fly in the can of peaches. They often will send you an ample supply of items just to keep you from complaining to your friends, or worse, taking them to court. Often you can get stuff sent to you by just telling them how good their product is compared to the trash you see nowadays. You know the type of letter. Rice Krispies have had a fantastic effect on my sexual prowess. or your frozen asparagus has given a whole new meaning to my life. In general though, the nasties get the best results. Slaughterhouses usually have meat they will give away. They are anxious to give to church, children's programs and things like that. In most states, there is a law that if the slab of meat touches the ground, they have to throw it away. Drop around meat houses late in the day and trip a few trucks. Fishermen always have hundreds of pounds of fish that have to be thrown out. You can have as much as you can cart away, generally just for the asking. Boats come in late in the afternoon and they'll give you some of the catch, or you can go to the markets early in the morning when the fishing is best. These methods of getting food in large quantities can only be appreciated by those who have tried it. You will be totally baffled by the unbelievable quantities of food that will be laid on you, and with the ease of panhandling. Investing in a freezer will allow you to buy weekly or even monthly trips to the wholesale markets and you'll get the freshest foods to boot. Nothing can beat getting it wholesale for free. Or is it free for wholesale? In any event, bon appetit. FOD conspiracies. Forming a food cooperative is one of the best ways to promote solidarity and get every kind of food you need to survive real cheap. It also provides a ready-made bridge for developing alliances with blacks, Puerto Ricans, Chicanos and other groups fighting are common. Oppressor on a community level. Call a meeting of about 20 communes, collectives or community organizations. Set up the ground rules. There should be a hardcore of really good hustlers that serve as the shopping or hunting party and another group of people who have their heads together enough to keep records and run the central distribution center. 2 or 3 in each group should do it. They can get their food free for the effort. Another method is to rotate the activity among all members of the conspiracy. The method you choose depends upon your politics, and whether you favor a division of labor or using the food conspiracy as a training for collective living. Probably a blend of the two is best, but you'll have to hassle that out for yourself. The next thing to agree upon is how the operation and all the shit you get will be paid for. This is dependent on a number of variables, so we'll map out one scheme and you can modify it to suit your particular situation. Each member of every commune could be assessed a fee for joining. You want to get together about $2,000, so at 200 members, this is $10 a piece. After the joining fee, each person or group has to pay only for the low-budget food they order, but some loot is needed to get things rolling. The money goes to getting a storefront or garage, a cheap truck, some scales, freezers, bags, shelving, chopping blocks, slicer and whatever else you need. You can get great deals by looking in the classified ads of the local overground newspaper and checking for restaurants or markets going out of business. Remember, the idea of a conspiracy is to get tons of stuff at real low prices or free into a storefront, and then break it down into smaller units for each group and eventually each member. The freezers allow you to store perishables for a longer time. The hunting party should be well acquainted with how to rip off shit totally free and where all the best deals are to be found. They should know what food is seasonal and about nutritional diets. There is a lot to learn, such as where to get raw grains in 100-pound lots and how to cut up a side of beef. A good idea is to get a diet free to give weekly talks in the storefront. There can also be cooking lessons taught, especially to men, so women can get out of the kitchen. Organizing a community around a basic issue of survival, such as food, makes a lot of nitty-gritty sense. After your conspiracy gets off the ground and looks permanent, you should seek to expand it to include more members, and an emergency food fund should be set up in case something happens in the community. There should also be a fund whereby the conspiracy can sponsor free community dinners tied into celebrations. Get it together and join the fight for a worldwide food conspiracy. Seize the stake. Cheap CHOW. There are hundreds of good paperback cookbooks with nutritional cheap recipes available in any bookstore. Cooking is a vastly overrated skill. The following are a few all-purpose dishes that are easy to make, nutritional and cheap as mud pies. You can add or subtract many of the ingredients for variety. Hog farmed granola breakfast, Roadhog Krispies, C millet 2, C raw oats, C cracked wheat 1, C rye flakes, C. Buckwheat groats 1. C. Wheat flakes. C. Wheat germ 1. C. Dried fruits and or nuts. C. Sunflower seeds 3. TBS soy oil. C. Sesame seeds 1. C. Honey. 2. TBS cornmeal. Boil the millet in a double boiler for half an hour. Mix in a large bowl all the ingredients including the millet. The soy oil and honey should be heated in a saucepan over a low flame until bubbles form. Spread the cereal in a baking pan and cover with the honey syrup. Toast in oven until brown. Stir once or twice so that all the cereal will be toasted. Serve plain or with milk. Refrigerate portion not used in a covered container. Enough for 10 to 20 people. Make lots and store for later meals. All these ingredients can be purchased at any health store in a variety of quantities. You can also get natural sugar if you need a sweetener. If bought and made in quantity, this fantastically healthy breakfast food will be cheaper than the brand name cellophane that passes for cereal. Whole earth bread. 1 C. Oats, cornmeal, or wheat germ. 2 TSB salt. 1 C. Water, warm. 2 egg yolks. C. Sugar, raw is best. 4 C. Flour. 1 pkg active dry yeast. C. Corn oil. 1 C. Dry milk or butter. Stir lightly in a large bowl the oats, cornmeal or wheat germ, depending on the flavor bread you desire, the water and sugar. Sprinkle in the yeast and wait 10 minutes for the yeast to do its thing. Add salt, egg yolks, corn oil and dry milk. Mix with a fork. Blend in the flour. The dough should be dry and a little lumpy. Cover with a towel and leave in a warm place for a half hour. Now mash, punch, blend and kick the dough and return it covered to its warm place. The dough will double in size. When this happens, separate the dough into 2 even masses and mash each one into a greased bread loaf pan. Cover the pans and let sit until the dough rises to the top of the pans. Bake for 40 to 45 minutes in a 350-degree oven that has not been preheated. A shallow tray of water in the bottom of the oven will keep the bread nice and moist. When you remove the pans from the oven, turn out the bread into a rack and let it cool off. Once you get the hang of it, you'll never touch ready-made bread, and it's a gas seeing yeast work. Street salad. Salad can be made by chopping up almost any variety of vegetables, nuts and fruits, including the stuff you panhandled at the back of supermarkets, dandelions, chav, and other wild vegetables, and goods you ripped off inside stores or from large farms. And eat fresh. Dressing consists of 1 part of oil, 2 parts wine vinegar, finely chopped garlic, cloves, salt and pepper. Mix up the ingredients in a bottle and add to the salad as you serve it. Russian dressing is simply mayonnaise and ketchup mixed. Yippee yogurt. Yogurt is one of the most nutritional foods in the world. The stuff you buy in stores has preservatives added to it, reducing its health properties and increasing the cost. Yogurt is a bacteria that spreads throughout a suitable culture at the correct temperature. Begin by going to a Turkish or Syrian restaurant and buying some yogurt to go. Some restaurants boast of yogurt that goes back over 100 years. Put it in the refrigerator. Now prepare the culture in which the yogurt will multiply. The consistency you want will determine what you use. A milk culture will produce thin yogurt, while sweet cream will make a thicker batch. It's the butter fat content that determines the consistency and also the number of calories. Half milk and half cream combines the best of both worlds. Heat a quart of half and half on a low flame until just before the boiling point and remove from the stove. This knocks out other bacteria that will compete with the yogurt. Now take a tablespoon of the yogurt you got from the restaurant and place it in the bottom of a bowl, not metal. Now add the warm liquid. Cover the bowl with the lid and wrap tightly with a heavy towel. Place the bowl in a warm spot such as on top of a radiator or in a sunny window. A turned-off oven with a tray of boiling water placed in it will do well. Just let the bowl sit for about 8 hours overnight. The yogurt simply grows until the whole bowl is yogurt. Yippee! It will keep in the refrigerator for about 2 weeks before turning sour, but even then, the bacteria will produce a fresh batch of top quality. Remember when eating it to leave a little to start the next batch. For a neat treat, add some honey and cinnamon, and mix into the yogurt before serving. Chopped fruit and nuts are also good. Rice and Kung sauce. 1 c brown rice vegetables. 2 c water. 2 tbs soy sauce. tsb salt. Bring the water to a boil in a pot and add the salt and rice. Cover and reduce flame. Cooking time is about 40 minutes or until rice has absorbed all the water. Meanwhile, in a well-greased frying pan, sauté a variety of chopped vegetables you enjoy. When they become soft and brownish, add salt and 2 cups of water. Cover with the lid and lower flame. Simmer for about 40 minutes, peaking to stir every once in a while. Then add 2.5 tbs of soy sauce. Stir and cook another 10 minutes. The rice should be just cooling off now, so add the sauce to the top of it and serve. Great for those longer hikes. This literally makes up almost the entire diet of the National Liberation Front fighter. Weather beans. 1 pound red kidney beans. 2 tbs parsley, chopped. 2 quarts water Abbie pork, smoked sausage. 1 onion, chopped, or ham hock. 1 tbs celery, chopped. 1 lg bay leaf. 1 tsb garlic, minced. Salt to season. Rinse the beans. Then place in covered pot and add water and salt. Cook over low flame. While cooking, chop up meat and brown in a frying pan. Add onion, celery, garlic and parsley and continue sautéing over low flame. Add the pieces of meat, vegetables and bay leaf to the beans and cook covered for 1.5 to 2 hours. It may be necessary to add more water if the beans get too dry. 15 minutes before beans are done, mash about a half cup of the stuff against the side of the pan to thicken the liquid. Pour the beans and liquid over some steaming rice that you have made by following the directions above. This should provide a cheap nutritional meal for about 6 people. Hedonist Deluxe. 2 lobsters. 2 qts water. Seaweed Abbie butter. Steal 2 lobsters, watching out for the claw thingies. Beg some seaweed from any fish market. Cop the butter using the switcheroo method described in the supermarket section above. When you get home, boil the water in a large covered pot and drop in the seaweed, and then the lobsters. Put the cover back on and cook for about 20 minutes. Melt the butter in a saucepan and dip the lobster pieces in it as you eat. With the booster box described later, you'll be able to rip off a bottle of vintage Bleefy in a fancy liquor store. Really, rice is nice, but FRE clothing and furniture. Free clothing. If shoplifting food seems easy, it's nothing compared to the snatching of clothing. Shop only the better stores. Try thing on in those neat secluded stalls. The less bulky items such as shirts, vests, belts and socks can be tied around your waist or leg with large rubber bands if needed. Just take a number of items in and come out with a few less. In some cities there are still free stores left over from the flower power days. Churches often have giveaway clothing programs. You can impersonate a clergyman and call one of the large clothing manufacturers in your area. They are usually willing to donate a case or 2 of shirts, trousers or underwear to your church raffle or drive to dress up Skid Row. Be sure to get your sizes. Tell them your boy will pick up the blessed donation and you'll mention his company in the evening prayers. If you notice people moving from an apartment or house, ask them if they'll be leaving behind clothing. They usually abandon all sorts of items including food, furniture and books. Offer to help them carry out stuff if you can keep what they won't be taking. Make the rounds of a fancy neighborhood with a truck and some friends. Ring doorbells and tell the person who answers that you're collecting wearable clothing for the poor. Homeless victims of the recent tidal wave in Quianto, a small village in Saudi Arabia. You get the pitch. Make it food and clothing, and say you're with a group called Heartline for Decency. A phony letter from a church might help here. The Salvation Army does this, and you can pick up clothes from them at very cheap prices. You can get a pair of snappy casual shoes for 25 cents in many bowling alleys by walking out with them on your feet. If you have to leave your shoes as a deposit, leave the most beat up pair you can find. Notice if your friends have lost or gained weight. A big change means a lot of clothes doing nothing but taking up closet space. Show up at dormitories when college is over for the summer or winter season. Go to the train or bus stations and tell them you left your raincoat, gloves or umbrella when you came into town. They'll take you to a room with thousands of unclaimed items. Pick out what you like. While there, notice a neat suitcase or trunk and memorize the markings. Later a friend can claim the item. There will be loads of surprises in any suitcase. We have a close friend who inherited 10 kilos of grass this way. Large laundry and dry cleaning chains usually have thousands of items that have gone unclaimed. Manufacturers also have shirts, dresses and suits for rock-bottom prices. Because of a crooked seam or other fuck-up, stores have reduced rates on display models. Mannequins are mostly all size 40 for men and 10 for women. Size 7.5 is the standard display size for men's shoes. If you're these sizes, you can get top styles for less than half price. Sandals. The Vietnamese and people throughout the Third World make a fantastically durable and comfortable pair of sandals out of rubber tires. They cut out a section of the outer tire, trace around the outside of the foot with a piece of chalk, which when trimmed forms the sole. Next 6 slits remade in the sole so the rubber straps can be crisscrossed and slid through the slits. The straps are made out of inner tubing. No nails are needed. If you have wide feet, use the new wide tread-low profiles. For hard-going, try radials. For best satisfaction and quality, steal the tires off a pig cart or a government limousine. Let's face it, if you really are into beating the clothing problem, move to a warm climate and run around naked. Skin is absolutely free, and will always be in style. Speaking of style, the midi and the maxi have obvious advantages when it comes to shoplifting and transporting weapons or bombs. Free furniture. Apartment lobbies are good for all kinds of neat furniture. If you want to get fancy about it, rent a truck, not one that says you haul it or other rental markings, and make the pickup with moving man type uniforms. When schools are on strike and students hold seminars and debate into the night, yippies can be found going through the dorm lobbies and storage closets hauling off couches, desks, printing supplies, typewriters, memos, etc., to store in secret underground nests. A nervy group of yippies in the Midwest tried to swipe a giant 1BM 360 computer while the school was in turmoil. All power to those that bring a wheelbarrow to sit-ins. Check into a high-class hotel or motel remembering to dress like the wallpaper. Carry a large dummy suitcase with you and register under a phony name. Make sure you not the bellboy carry this bag. Use others as a decoy. When you get inside the room, grab everything you can stuff in the suitcase. Radio, TV, sets. Even if it has a special plug you can cut it with a knife and replace the cord. Blankets, toilet paper, glasses, towels, sheets, lamps. Forget the imitation Winslow Homer on the wall. A Bible, soap and toss rugs. Before you leave, odd hours are best. Hang the Do Not Disturb sign on your doorknob. This will give you an extra few hours to beat it across the border or check into a new hotel. Landlords renovating buildings throw out stoves, tables, lamps, refrigerators and carpeting. In most cities, each area has a day designated for discarding bulk objects. Call the sanitation department and say you live in the part of town which would be putting out the most expensive shit and find out the pickup day. Fantastic buys can be found cruising the streets late at night. Check out the backs of large department stores for floor models, window displays and slightly damaged furniture being discarded. Construction sites are a good source for building materials to construct furniture. Not to mention explosives. The large wooden cables pulls make great tables. Cinder blocks, bricks and boards can quickly be turned into a sharp-looking bookcase. Doors make tables. Nail kegs convert into stools or chairs. You can also always find a number of other supplies hanging around like wiring, pipes, lighting fixtures and hard hats. And don't forget those blinking signs and the red lanterns for your own light show. Those black oil-fed burners are okay for cooking, although smoky, and highway flares are swell for making fake dynamite. Bombs. Free transportation. Hitchhiking. Certainly one of the neatest ways of getting where you want to go for nothing is to hitch. In the city it's a real snap. Just position yourself at a busy intersection and ask the drivers for a lift when they stop for the red light. If you're hitching on a road where the traffic zooms by pretty fast, be sure to stand where the car will have room to safely pull off the road. Traveling long distances, even cross-country, can be easy if you have some sense of what you're doing. A lone hitchhiker will do much better than two or more. A man and woman will do very well together. Single women are certain to get proposition and possibly worse. American males have endless sexual fantasies about picking up a poor lonesome damsel in distress. Unless your karate and head are in top form, women should avoid hitching alone. Telling men you have VD might help in difficult situations. New England and the entire West Coast are the best sections for easy hitches. The South and Midwest can sometimes be a real hassle. Easy Rider and all that. The best season too. Hitches in the summer. Daytime is much better than night. If you have to hitch at night, get under some type of illumination where you'll be seen. Hitchhiking is legal in most states, but remember you always can get a say-so bust. A say-so arrest is to police what catch-22 is to the army. When you ask why you're under arrest, the pig answers, "'Cause I say so." If you stand on the shoulder of the road, the pigs won't give you too bad a time. If you've got long hair, cops will often stop to play games. You can wear a hat with your hair tucked under to avoid hassles. However, this might hurt your ability to get rides, since many straights will pick up hippies out of curiosity who would not pick up a straight scruffy-looking kid. Freak drivers usually only pick up other freaks. Once in a while you hear stories of fines levied or even a few arrests for hitching. Flagstaff, Arizona is notorious, but even in the states where it is illegal, the law is rarely enforced. If you're stopped by the pigs, play dumb and they'll just tell you to move along. You can wait until they leave and then let your thumb hang out again. Hitching on superhighways is really far out. It's illegal, but you won't get hassled if you hitch at the entrances. On a fucked up exit, take your chances hitching right on the road, but keep a sharp eye out for porkers. When you get a ride, be discriminating. Find out where the driver is headed. If you are at a good spot, don't take a ride under 100 miles. That won't end up in a location just as good. When the driver is headed to and out of the way place, ask him to let you off where you can get the best rides. If he's going to a particularly small town, ask him to drive you to the other side of the I-town line. It's usually only a mile or two. Small towns often enforce all sorts of say-so ordinances. If you get stuck on the wrong side of town, it would be wise to even hoof it through the place. Getting to a point on the road where the cars are intercity rather than local traffic is always preferable. When you hit the road, you should have a good idea of how to get where you're going. You can pick up a free map at any gas station. Long-distance routes, road conditions, weather, and all sorts of information can be gotten free by calling the American Automobile Association in any city. Say that you are a member driving to Phoenix, Arizona, or wherever your destination is, and find out what you want to know. Always carry a sign indicating where you're going. If you get stranded on the road without one, ask in a diner or gas station for a piece of cardboard and a magic marker. Make the letters bold and fill them in so they can be seen by drivers from a distance. If your destination is a small town, the sign should indicate the state. For really long distances, EST or WEST is best, unless, of course, you're going north or south. A phony foreign flag sewed on your pack also helps. Carrying dope is not advisable, and although searching you is illegal, few pigs can read the Constitution. If you're carrying when the patrol car pulls up, tell them you're Canadian and hitching through America. Highway patrols are very uptight about promoting incidents with foreigners. The foreign bit goes over especially well with small town types, and is also amazingly good for avoiding hassles with greasers. If you can't hack this one, tell them you are a reporter for a newspaper writing a feature story on hitching around the country. This story has averted many a bust. Don't be shy when you hitch. Go into diners and gas stations and ask people if they're heading east or to Texas. Sometimes gas station attendants will help. When in the car, be friendly as hell. Offer to share the driving if you've got a license. If you're broke, You can usually bum a meal or a few bucks, maybe even a free night's lodging. Never be intimidated into giving money for a ride. As for what to carry when hitching, the advice is to travel light. The rule is to make up a pack of the absolute minimum, then cut that in half. Hitching is an art form as is all survival. Master it and you'll travel on a free trip forever. Freighting. There is a way to hitch long distances that has certain advantages over letting your thumb hang out for hours on some two-laner. Learn about riding the trains and you'll always have that alternative. Hitchhiking at night can be impossible, but hopping is easier at night than by day. By hitchhiking days and hopping freights and sleeping on them at night, you can cover incredible distances rapidly and stay well rested. Every city and most large towns have a freight yard. You can find it by following the tracks or asking where the freight yard is located. When you get to the yard, ask the workman when the next train leaving in your direction will be pulling out. Unlike the phony Hollywood image, railroad men are nice to folks who drop by to grab a ride. Most yards don't have a guard, or a bull, as they're called. Even if they do, he is generally not around. If there is a bull around, the most he's going to do is tell you it's private property and ask you to leave. There are exceptions to this rule, such as the notorious Lincoln, Nebraska, and Las Vegas, Nevada, but by asking you can find out. Even if he asks you to leave or throws you out, sneak back when your train is pulling out and jump aboard. After you've located the right train for your trip, hunt for an empty boxcar to ride. The men in the yards will generally point one out if you ask. Pigsties, flat cars and coal cars are definitely third class due to exposure to the elements. Boxcars are by far the best. They are clean and the roof over your head helps in bad weather and cuts down the wind. Boxcars with the hydro cushion suspension system used for carrying fragile cargo make for the smoothest ride. Unless you get one, you should be prepared for a pretty bumpy and noisy voyage. You should avoid cars with only one door open, because the pin may break, locking you in. A car with both doors open gives you one free chance. Pigbacks, trailers on flat cars, are generally considered unsafe. Most trains make a number of short hops, so if time is an important factor, try to get on a hotshot express. A hotshot travels faster and has priority over other trains in crowded yards. You should favor a hotshot even if you have to wait an extra hour or two or more to get one going your way. If you're traveling at night, be sure to dress warmly. You can freeze your ass off. Trains might not offer the most comfortable ride, but they go through beautiful countryside that you'd never see from the highway or airway. There are no billboards, road signs, cops, Jack in the boxes, gas stations or other artifacts of honky culture. You'll get dirty on the trains, so wear old clothes. Don't pass up this great way to travel cause some bullshit. Western scared you out of it. CRS. If you know how to drive and want to travel long distances, the auto transportation agencies are a good deal. Look in the yellow pages under automobile transportation and trucking or driveway. Rules vary, but normally you must be over 21 and have a valid license. Call up and tell them when and where you want to go and they will let you know if they have a car available. They give you the car and a tank of gas free. You pay the rest. Go to pick up the car alone, then get some people to ride along and help with the driving and expenses. You can make New York to San Francisco for about $80 in tolls and gas in 4 days, without pushing. Usually you have the car for longer and can make a whole thing out of it. You must look straight when you go to the agency. This can simply be done by wetting down your hair and shoving it under a cap. Another good way to travel cheaply is to find somebody who has a car and is going your way. Usually underground newspapers list people who either want rides or riders. Another excellent place to find information is your local campus. Every campus has a bulletin board for rides. Head shops and other community-minded stores have notices up on the wall. Gas. If you have a car and need some gas late at night, you can get a quart and then some by emptying the hoses from the pumps into your tank. There is always a fair amount of surplus gas left when the pumps are shut off. If you're traveling in a car and don't have enough money for gas and tolls, stop at the bus station and see if anybody wants a lift. If you find someone, explain your money situation and make a deal with him. Hitchhikers also can be asked to chip in on the gas. You can carry a piece of tubing in the trunk of your car, and when the gas indicator gets low, pull up to a nice-looking Cadillac on some dark street and siphon off some of his gas. Just park your car so the gas tank is next to the Cadillac, or use a large can. Stick the hose into his tank, suck up enough to get things flowing, and stick the other end into your tank. Having a lower level of liquid, your tank will draw gas until you and the caddy are equal. To each according to his need, from each according to his ability, wrote Marx. Bet you hadn't realized until now that the law of gravity affects economics. Another way is to park in a service station over their filler hole. Lift off one lid, like a small manhole cover. Run down 20 feet of rubber tubing through the hole you've cut in your floorboard. Then turn on the electric pump which you have installed to feed into your gas tank. All they ever see is a parked car. This technique is especially rewarding when you have buses. If you'd rather leave the driving and the paying to them, try swiping a ride on the bus. Here's a method that has worked well. Get a rough idea of where the bus has stopped before it arrived at your station. If you are not at the beginning or final stop on the route, wait until the bus you want pulls in and then out of the station. Make like the bus just pulled off without you while you went to the bathroom. If there is a station master, complain like crazy to him. Tell him you're going to sue the company if your luggage gets stolen. He'll put you on the next bus for free. If there is no station master, lay your sad tale on the next driver that comes along. If you know when the last bus left, just tell the driver you've been stranded there for 8 hours and you left your kid sleeping on the other bus. Tell him you called ahead to the company and they said to grab the next bus and they would take care of it. The next method isn't totally free but close enough. It's called the hopper bopper. Find a bus that makes a few stops before it gets to where you want to go. The more stops with people getting in or out the better. Buy a ticket for the short hop and stay on the bus until you end up at your destination. You must develop a whole style in order to pull this off because the driver has to forget you're connected with the ticket you gave him. Dress unobtrusively or make sure the driver hasn't seen your face. Pretend to be asleep when the short hop station is reached. If you get questioned, just act upset about sleeping through the stop you really want and ask if it's possible to get a ride back. Airlines. Up and away, junior outlaws. If you really want to get where you're going in a hurry, don't forget Skyjacker's Paradise. Don't forget the airlines. They make an unbelievable amount of bread on their inflated prices, ruin the land with incredible amounts of polluting wastes and noise, and deliberately hold back aviation advances that would reduce prices in time of flight. We know 2 foolproof methods to fly free, but unfortunately we feel publishing them would cause the airlines to change their policy. The following methods have been talked about enough, so the time seems right to make them known to a larger circle of friends. A word should be said right off about stolen tickets. Literally millions of dollars worth of airline tickets are stolen each year. If you have good underworld contacts, you can get a ticket to anywhere you want at 1/4 the regular price. If you're charged more, you are getting a slight ricking. In any case, you can get a ticket for any flight or date and just trade it in. They are actually as good as cash, except that it takes 30 days to get a refund, and by then they might have traced the stolen tickets. If you can get a stolen ticket, exchange or use it as soon as possible, and always fly under a phony name. A stolen ticket for a trip around the world currently goes for $150 in New York. One successful scheme requires access to the mailbox of a person listed in the local phone book. Let's use the name Ron Davis as an example. A woman calls one of the airlines with a very efficient-sounding rap such as, "Hello, this is Mr. Davis, Secretary at Allied Chemical. He and his wife would like to fly to Chicago on Friday. Could you mail 2 first-class tickets to his home in Billish here at Allied?" Every major corporation probably has a Ron Davis, and the airlines rarely bother checking anyway. Order your tickets 2 days before you wish to travel, and pick them up at the mailbox or address you had them sent to. If you are uptight in the airport about the tickets, Just go up to another airline and have the tickets exchanged. One gutsy way to hitch a free ride is to board the plane without a ticket. This is how it works. Locate the flight you want and rummage through a wastebasket until you find an envelope for the particular airline. Shuffle by the countermen, which is fairly easy if it's busy. When the boarding call is made, stand in line and get on the plane. Flash the empty envelope at the stewardess as you board the plane. Carry a number of packages as a decoy, so the stewardess won't ask you to open the envelope. If she does, which is rare, and sees you have no ticket, act surprised. Oh my gosh, it must have fallen out in the washroom. Will do fine. Run back down the ramp as if you're going to retrieve the ticket. Disappear and try later on a different airline. 9 out of 10 revolutionaries say it's the only way to fly. This trick works only on airlines that don't use the boarding pass system. If you want to be covered completely, use the hopper-bopper method described in the section on buses. With this added security precaution, buy 2 tickets from different cashiers, or better still, one from an agent in town. Both will be on the same flight. Only one ticket will be under a phony name, and for the short hop, write the ticket under your real name will be for your actual destination. At the boarding counter, present the short hop ticket. You will be given an envelope with a white receipt in it. Actually, the white receipt is the last leaf in your ticket. Once you're securely seated in a loft, take out the ticket with your name and final destination. Gently peel away everything but the white receipt. Place the still valid ticket back in your pocket. Now remove from the envelope and destroy the short hop receipt. In its place, put the receipt for the ticket you have in your pocket. When you land at the short hop airport, stay on the plane. Usually the stewardesses just ask you if you're remaining on the flight. If you have to, you can actually show her your authentic receipt. When you get to your destination, you merely put the receipt back on the bona fide ticket that you still have in your pocket. It isn't necessary that they be glued together. Present the ticket for a refund or exchange it for another ticket. This method works well even in foreign countries. You can actually fly around the world for $88 using the hopper-bopper method and switching receipts. If you can't hack these shucks, you should at least get a youth card and travel for half fare. If you're over 22 but still in your 20s, you can easily pass. Get a card from a friend who has similar color hair and eyes. Your friend can easily get one from another airline. You can master your friend's signature and get a supporting piece of identification from him to back up your youth card if you find it necessary. If you have a friend who works for an airline or travel agency, just get a card under your own name and an age below the limit. Your friend can validate the card. Flying youth fare is on standby, so it's always a good idea to call ahead and book a number of reservations under fictitious names on the flight you'll be taking. This will fuck up the booking of regular passengers and ensure you a seat. By the way, if you fly cross-country a number of times, swipe one of the plug-in headsets. Always remember to pack it in your traveling bag. This way you'll save a $2 fee charged for the in-flight movie. The headsets are interchangeable on all airlines. One way to fly free is to actually hitch a ride. Look for the private plane area located at every airport, usually in some remote part of the field. You can find it by noticing where the small planes without airline markings take off and land. Go over to the runways and ask around. Often the mechanics will let you know when someone is leaving for your destination and point out a pilot. Tell him you lost your ticket and have to get back to school. Single pilots often like to have a passenger along, and it's a real gas flying in a small plane. Some foreign countries have special arrangements for free air travel to visiting writers, artists or reporters. Brazil and Argentina are two we know of for sure. Call or write the embassy of the country you wish to visit in Washington or their mission to the United Nations in New York. Writing works best, especially if you can cop some stationery from a newspaper or publishing house. Tell them you will be writing a feature story for some magazine on the tourist spots or handcrafts of the country. The embassy will arrange for you to travel gratis aboard one of their Air Force planes. The planes leave only from Washington and New York at unscheduled times. Once you have the OK letter from the embassy, you're all set. This is definitely worth checking out if you want a vacation in a foreign country with all sorts of free bonuses thrown in. A one-way ride is easy if you want to get into skyjacking. Keep the piece or knife in your shoe to avoid possible detection with the metal scanner, a long black tube that acts like a Geiger counter, or use a plastic knife or bomb. It's also advisable to wrap your dope in a non-metallic material. Avoid tin foil. The crews have instructions to take you wherever you want to go even if they have to refuel, but watch out for air marshals. To avoid air marshals and searches, pick an airline which flies short domestic hops. You should plan to end up in a country hostile to the United States or you'll end up right back where you came from in some sturdy handcuffs. 1. Dude wanted to travel in style, so he demanded $100,000 as a going-away gift. The airlines quickly paid off. The guy then got greedy and demanded $100 million. When he returned to pick up the extra pocket money, he got nabbed. Nonetheless, skyjacking appears to be the cheapest, fastest way to get away from it all. City travel. Any of the public means of transportation can be ripped off easily. Get on the bus with a large bill and present it after the bus has left the stop. If the bus is crowded, slip in the back door when it opens to dispatch passengers. 2 people can easily get through the turnstile in a subway on 1 token by doubling up. In some subway systems, cards are given out to high school kids or senior citizens or employees of the city. The next time you're in a subway station, notice people flashing cards to the man in the booth and entering through the exit door. Notice the color of the card used by people in your age group. Get a piece of colored paper in a stationery store, or find some card of the same color you need. Put this card in a plastic window of your wallet and flash it in the same way those with a bona fide pass do. Before entering a turnstile, always test the swing bar. If someone during the day put in an extra token, it's still in the machine waiting for you to enter free. For every token and coin deposited in an automatic turnstile, there is a foreign coin, same size for much less, that will work in the machine. See the European currency exchange. Following. For more info, buy a cheap bag of assorted foreign coins from a dealer that you can locate in the yellow pages. Size up the coins with a token from your subway system. You can get any of these coins in bulk from a large dealer. Generally they are about 0,000 for $5. Tell him you make jewelry out of them if he gets suspicious. Giving what almost amounts to free subway rides away is a communal act of love. The best outlaws in the world rip off shit for a lot more people than just themselves. Robin Hood lives free land. Despite what you may have heard, there is still some rural land left in America. The only really free land is available in Alaska and remote barren areas of the western states. The latest information in this area is found in a periodic publication called Our Public Lands, available from the Superintendent of Documents, Washington, D.C. c. 20,402. It costs $1 for a subscription. Also contact the U.S. Department of the Interior, Bureau of Land Management, Washington, D.C. c. 20,240 and ask for information on homesteading. By the time this book is out though, the Secretary of the Interior's friends in the oil companies might have stolen all the available free land. Being an oil company is about the easiest way to steal millions. Never call it stealing though. Always refer to it as research and development. Continental United States has no good free land that we know of, but there are some very low prices in areas suited for country communities. Write to School of Living, Freeland, Maryland, for their newspaper Green Revolution with the latest information in this area. Canada has free land available, and the Canadian government will send you a free list if you write to the Department of Land and Forests, Parliament Building, Quebec City, Canada. Also write to the Geographical Branch, Department of Mines and Technical Surveys, Parliament Building, Quebec City, Canada. Correspondence can be carried out with the Communications Group, 2630 Point Grey Road, Vancouver 8, British Columbia, Canada, for advice on establishing a community in Canada. The islands off the coast of British Columbia, its western region, and the area along the Kootenai River are among the best locations. If you just want to rip off some land, there are two ways to do it, openly or secretly. If you are going to do it out front, look around for a piece of land that's in dispute, which has its sovereignty in question, islands and deltas between the US and Canada, or between the US and Mexico, or any number of other borderline lands. You might even consider one of the abandoned oil drilling platforms, which are fair game under high seas salvage laws. The possibilities are endless. If you intend to do it quietly, you will want a completely different type of location. Find a rugged area with lots of elbow room and plenty of places to hide, like the Rocky Mountains, Florida swamps, Death Valley, or New York City. Put together a tight band of guerrillas and do your thing. With luck you will last forever. If you just want to camp out or try some hermit living in the plushish surroundings available, you'll do best to head for one of the national parks. Since the parks are federal property, there's very little the local fuzz can do about you, and the forest rangers are generally the live and let live types, although there have been increasing reports of long hairs being vamped on by Smokey the Pig, as in Yosemite. You can get a complete list from National Park Service, Department of the Interior, Washington, D.C.C. 20,240. The following is a list of some good ones. Alabama Russell Cave National Monument, Bridgeport 35,740. Arizona Grand Canyon National Park, Box 129, Grand Canyon 86,023. Arkansas Hot Springs National Park, Box 1219, Hot Springs 71,901. California Yosemite National Park, Box 577, Yosemite 95,389 *. Colorado Rocky Mountain National Park, Estes Park, 80,517. Florida Everglades National Park, Box 279, Homestead 33,030. Idaho Boise National Forest, 413 Idaho Street, Boise 83,702. Illinois Shawnee National Forest, Harrisburg National Bank Building, Harrisburg, 62,946. Kentucky Mammoth Cave National Park, Mammoth Cave 42,259. Louisiana Kisatchie National Forest, 2,500 Shreveport Highway Pineville 71,360. Maine Acadia National Park, Box 338. Bar Harbor 04609 Maryland Assateague Island National Seashore, Route 2 Box 111. Berlin 21,811. Massachusetts Cape Cod National Seashore, South Wellfleet 02663. Michigan Hiawatha National Forest, Post Office Building, Escanaba 49,829. Missouri Mark Twain National Forest, 304 Pershing Street, Springfield 65,806. Nevada Lake Mead National Recreation Area, 601 Nevada High, Boulder City 89,005. NEW Mexico Aztec Ruins National Monument, Route 1, Box 101, Aztec 87,410. NEW York Fire Island National Seashore C/O New York City National Park Service, Group 28E 20th ST. New York 10003. North Carolina Wright Brothers National Memorial Box 457, Mango 27,954. Oklahoma Platte National Park, Box 201, Sulphur 73,086. Oregon Crater Lake National Park, Box 7, Crater Lake 97,604. Utah Bryce Canyon National Park, Bryce Canyon 84,717. Wyoming Yellowstone National Park, Yellowstone Park 83,020. This summer Yosemite Forest Rangers tried to evict a group of Yuppies from their encampment. The Yuppies rioted in the valley, spooked the tourists, burned cars and fought for their right to stay. Earth People's Park is an endeavor to purchase land and allow people to come and live for free. They function as a clearinghouse for people that want to donate land and those who wish to settle. They own 600 acres in northern Vermont and are trying to raise money to buy more. Right to Earth People's Park, P.0, Box 313, 1230 Grant Avenue, San Francisco, California 94133. People's parks are sprouting up all over as people reclaim the land being ripped off by universities, factories, and corrupt city planning agencies. The model is the People's Park struggle in Berkeley during the spring of 1969. The people fought to defend a barren parking lot they had turned into a community center with grass, swings, free-form sculpture and gardens. The University of California, with the aid of Ronald Reagan and the Berkeley stormtroopers, fought with guns, clubs and tear gas to regain the land from the outlaw people. The pigs killed James Rector and won an empty victory. For now the park is fenced off, tarred over and converted into unused basketball courts and unused parking lots. Not one person has violated the oath never to set foot on the site. It stands, cold and empty, 2 blocks north of crowded Telegraph Avenue. If the revolution does not survive, all the land will perish under the steamroller of imperialism. People's Death Valley will happen in our lifetime. FREE housing. If you're in a city without a place to stay, ask the first group of hip-looking folks where you can crash. You might try the office of the local underground newspaper. In any hip community, the underground newspaper is generally the source of the best, up-to-the-moment information. But remember that they are very busy, and don't impose on them. Many churches now have runaway houses. If you're under 16 and can hack some bullshit jive about adjusting, opening a dialogue, and things aren't that bad, then these are the best deals for free room and board. Check out the ground rules first, i.e., length of stay allowed, if they inform your parents or police, facilities and services available. Almost always they can be accepted at their word, which is something very sacred to missionaries. If they became known as double-crossers, the programs would be finished. Some hip communities have crash pads set up, but these rarely last more than a few months. To give out the addresses we have would be quite impractical. We have never run across a crash pad that lasted more than a month or so. If in a sit, try hustling a room at a college dorm. This is especially good in summer or on weekends. If you have a sleeping bag, the parks are always good, as is tar jungle or sleeping on the roofs of tall buildings. Local folks will give you some good advice on what to watch out for and information on vagrancy laws which might help you avoid getting busted. For more permanent needs, squatting is not only free, it's a revolutionary act. If you stay quiet, you can stay indefinitely. If you have community support, you may last forever. Communes. In the city or in the country, communes can be a cheap and enjoyable way of living. Although urban and rural communes face different physical environments, they share common group problems. The most important element in communal living is the people, for the commune will only make it if everyone is fairly compatible. A nucleus of 4 to 7 people is best, and it is necessary that no member feels extremely hostile to any other member when the commune gets started. The idea that things will work out later as pigs will. More communes have busted up over incompatibility than any other single factor. People of similar interests and political philosophies should live together. One speed free can wreck almost any group. There are just too many day-to-day hassles involved living in a commune to not start off compatible in as many ways as possible. The ideal arrangement is for the people to have known each other before they move in together. Once you have made the opening moves, evening meetings will occasionally be necessary to divide up the responsibilities and work out the unique problems of a communal family. Basically, there are 2 areas that have to be pretty well agreed upon if the commune is to survive. People's attitudes towards politics, sex, drugs and decision-making have to be in fairly close agreement. Then the even most important decisions about raising their rent, cleaning, cooking and maintenance will have to be made. Ground rules for inviting non-members should be worked out before the first time it happens, as this is a common cause for friction. Another increasingly important issue involves defense. Communes have continually been targets of attack by the more Neanderthal elements of the surrounding community. In Minneapolis, for example, headhunts, as they are called, are commonplace. You should have full knowledge of the local gun laws, and a collective defense should be worked out. Physical attacks are just one way of making war on communes, and, hence, our free nation. Laws, cops, and courts are there to protect the power and the property of those that already got the shit. Police harassment, strict enforcement of health codes and fire regulations, and the specially designed anti-commune laws being passed by town elders should all be known and understood by the members of a commune before they even buy or rent property. On all these matters, you should seek out experienced members of communes already established in the vicinity you wish to settle. Work out mutual defense arrangements with nearby families, both legal and extra-legal. Remember, not only do you have the right to self-defense, but it is your duty to earn your nation to erase the easy ride or take any shit image which invites attack. Let them know you're willing to defend your way of living, and your chances of survival will increase. Urban living. If you're headed for city living, the first thing you'll have to do is locate an apartment or loft, an increasingly difficult task. At certain times of the year, notably June and September, the competition is fierce because of students leaving or entering school. If you can avoid these 2 months, you'll have a better selection. A knowledge of your plans in advance can aid a great deal in finding an apartment, for the area can be scouted before you move in. Often, if you know of people leaving a desirable apartment, you can make arrangements with the landlord, and a deposit will hold the place. If you let them know you're willing to buy their furniture, people will be more willing to give you information about when they plan to move. Watch out for getting screwed on exorbitant furniture swindles by the previous tenants and excessive demands on the part of the landlords. In most cities, the landlord is not legally allowed to ask for more than 1 month's rent as security. Often the monthly rent itself is regulated by a city agency. A little checking on the local laws and a visit to the housing agency might prove well worth it. Don't go to a rental agency unless you're willing to pay an extra month's rent as a fee. Wanted ads in newspapers and bulletin boards located in community centres and supermarkets have some leads. Large universities have a service for finding good apartments for administrators, faculty and students, in that order. Call the university, say you have just been appointed to such and such position and you need housing in the area. They will want to know all your requirements and rent limitations, but often they have very good deals available, especially if you've appointed yourself to a high enough position. Aside from these, the best way is to scout a desired area and inquire about future apartments. Often landlords or rental agencies have control over a number of buildings in a given area. You can generally find a nameplate inside the hall of the building. Calling them directly will let you know of any apartments available. When you get an apartment, furnishing will be the next step. You can double your sleeping space by building bunk beds. Nail 2x4s securely from ceiling to floor, about 3 feet from the walls, where the beds are desired. Then build a frame out of 2x4s at a convenient height. Make sure you use nails or screws strong enough to support the weight. If people sleeping or bawling, nail a sheet of 3/4 of an inch plywood on the frame. Mattresses and almost all furniture needed for your pal can be gotten free. See section on free furniture. Silverware can be copped at any self-service restaurant. Rural living. If you're considering moving to the country, especially as a group, you're talking about farms and farmland. There are some farms for rent, and occasionally a family that has to be away for a year or two will let you live on their farm if you keep the place in repair. These can be found advertised in the back of various farming magazines and in the classified sections of newspapers, especially the Sunday editions. Generally speaking, however, if you're interested in a farm, you should be considering an outright purchase. First, you have to determine in what part of the country you want to live in terms of the climate you prefer and how far away from the major cities you wish to locate. The least populated states, such as Utah, Idaho, the Dakotas, Montana and the like, have the cheapest prices and the lowest tax rates. The more populated a state, and in turn, the Closer to a city, the higher the commercial value of the land. There are hundreds of different types of farms, so the next set of questions you'll have to raise concerns the type of farm activity you'll want to engage in. Cattle farms are different than vegetable farms or orchards. Farms come in sizes, from half an acre to ranches larger than the state of Connecticut. They will run in price from $30 to $3,000 an acre, with the most expensive being prime farmland in fertile river valleys located close to an urban area. The further away from the city and the further up a hill, the cheaper the land gets. It also gets woodier, rockier and steeper, which means less tillable land. If you're talking of living in a farmhouse and maybe having a small garden and some livestock for your own use, with perhaps a pond on the property, you're looking for what is called a recreational farm. When you buy recreational farm, naturally you're interested in the house, barn, well, fences, chicken coop, corrals, woodsheds and other physical structures on the property. Unless these are in unusually good condition or unique, they do not enter into the sale price as major factors. It is the land itself that is bought and sold. Farmland is measured in acreage, an acre being slightly more than 43,560 square feet. The total area is measured in 40-acre plots. Thus, if a farmer or a real estate agent says he has a plot of land down the road, he means a 40-acre farm. Farms are generally measured this way, with an average recreational farm being 160 acres in size or an area covering about 1/2 square mile. A reasonable rate for recreational farmland 100 miles from a major city, with good water and a livable house would be about $50 per acre. For a 160-acre farm, it would be $8,000, which is not an awful lot considering what you're getting. For an overall view, get the free catalogues and brochures provided by the United Farm Agency, 612 Watt, 47th St. Kansas City, Missouri, 64,112. Now that you have a rough idea of where and what type of farm you want, you can begin to get more specific. Check out the classified section in the Sunday newspaper of the largest city near your desired location. Get the phone book and call or write to real estate agencies in the vicinity. Unlike the city, where there is a seller's market, rural estate agents collect their fee from the seller of the property, so you won't have to worry about the agent's fee. When you have narrowed down the choices, the next thing you'll want to look at is the plot book for the county. The plot book has all the farms in each township mapped out. LT also shows terrain variations, type of housing on the land, location of rivers, roads, and a host of other pertinent information. Road accessibility, especially in the winter, is an important factor. If the farms bordering the one you have selected are abandoned or not in full use, then for all intents and purposes, you have more land than you are buying. After doing all this, you are prepared to go look at the farm itself. Notice the condition of the auxiliary roads leading to the house. You'll want an idea of what sections of the land are tillable. Make note of how many boulders you'll have to clear to do some planting. Also note how many trees there are and to what extent the brush has to be cut down. Be sure and have a good idea of the insect problems you can expect. Mosquitoes or flies can bug the shit out of you. Feel the soil where you plan to have a garden and see how rich it is. If there are fruit trees, check their condition. Taste the water. Find out if hunters or tourists come through the land. Examine the house. The most important things are the basement and the roof. In the basement, examine the beams for dry rot and termites. See how long it will be before the roof must be replaced. Next, check the heating system, the electrical wiring and the plumbing. Then you'll want to know about services such as schools, snow plowing, telephones, fire department, and finally about your neighbours. If the house is beyond repair, you might still want the farm, especially if you are good at carpentry. Cabins, A-frames, domes and teepees are all cheaply constructed with little experience. Get the materials from your nearest military installation. Finally, check out the secondary structures on the land to see how usable they are. If there is a pond, you'll want to see how deep it is for swimming. If there are streams, you'll want to know about the fishing possibilities, and if large wooded areas, the hunting. In negotiating the final sales agreement, you should employ a lawyer. You'll also want to check out the possibility of negotiating a bank loan for the farm. Don't forget that you have to pay taxes on the land, so inquire from the previous owner or agent as to the tax bill. Usually, you can count on paying about $50 annually per 40-acre plot. Finally, check out the federal programs available in the area. If you can learn the ins and outs of the government programs, you can rip off plenty. The Feed Grain program of the Department of Agriculture pays you not to grow grain. The Cotton Subsidy program pays you not to grow cotton. Also look into the Soil Bank program of the United States Development Association and various Department of Forestry programs which pay you to plant trees. Between not planting cotton and planting trees, you should be able to manage a list of communes. The most complete list of city and country communes is available for $1 from Alternatives Foundation, Modern Utopian, 1526 Gravenster Highway North, Sebastopol, California 95427. The phone is 707-823-6168. The list is kept up to date. For all communes, you must write in advance if you plan to visit. Almost every commune will give you information about the local conditions and the problems they face if you write them a letter. Here is a list of some you might like to write to for more information. Avoid becoming a freeloader on your sisters and brothers. California, Alternatives Foundation Box 1264, Berkeley, California 94709. Dick. Fairfield, Communal Living, Total Sexuality, Peak Experience Training Centers, dedicated to the Cybernated Tribal Society, Hoden Center of Inquiry Sierra Route, Oathcrest, California 93644. Phone 209-683-4976. Charles Davis, Seminars on Human Community, IC. Development on the Land, founded 1934, 13 members. Trial period for new members. Visitors check in advance. Colorado, DROP City RT 1, Box 125, Trinidad, Colorado 81082. Founded 1965. New members must meet specific criteria. Anarchist, artist, dome houses. New Mexico, Lama Foundation Box 444, San Cristobal, NM. New York, CITY Island Commune 284 City Island Avenue, Bronx, NY. Visitors check-in. Advance. Revolutionary. Atlantis IRFD 5, Box 20-8, Saugerties, New York 12477. Visitors and new members. Welcome. Oregon. Family of Mystic ARTS Box 546, Sunny Valley, Oregon. Pennsylvania. Tanga Homesteads Westchester, Pennsylvania. Suburban, non-sectarian. Co-op Housing and Community Fellowship, Washington. Magic Mountain 52 Indian 19th Streets, Seattle, Washington. C/O Medium. Roder. FREE Education. Usually when you ask somebody in college why they are there, they'll tell you it's to get an education. The truth of it is, they are there to get the degree so that they can get ahead in the rat race. Too many college radicals are two-timing punks. The only reason you should be in college is to destroy it. If there is stuff that you want to learn though, there is a way to get a college education absolutely free. Simply send away for the schedule of courses at the college of your choice. Make up the schedule you want and audit the classes. In smaller classes this might be a problem, but even then, if the teacher is worth anything at all, he'll let you stay. In large classes, no one will ever object. If you need books for a course, write to the publisher claiming you are a lecturer at some school and considering using their book in your course. They will always send you free books. There are free universities springing up all over our new nation. Anybody can teach any course. People sign up for the courses and sometimes pay a token registration fee. This Money is used to publish a catalogue and pay their rent. If you're on welfare, you don't have to pay. You can take as many or as few courses as you want. Classes are held everywhere, in the instructor's house, in the park, on the beach, at one of the students' houses, or in liberated buildings. Free universities offer courses ranging from astrology to the use of firearms. The teaching is usually of excellent quality and you'll learn in a community-type atmosphere. LIST of free universities. Alternative University 69W 14th St. New York, New York 10011. Catalogue on request. Baltimore Free UC/O Harry 233 25th St. Baltimore, Maryland 21218. Berkeley Free U 1703 Grove St. Berkeley, California 94709. Bowling Green Free UC/O Student Council, University of Bowling Green, Ohio 43402. Colorado State Free U Box 12 Frazen, Colorado State College, Greeley, Colorado 80631. Detroit Area Free U Student Union 4001 West McNichols Road, Detroit, Michigan 48221. Detroit Area Free U 343 University Center, Wayne State University, Detroit, Michigan. Georgetown Free U Loyola Building 28, Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. C. 20007. Golden Gate Free U 2120 Market St. Room 206, San Francisco, California 94114. Heliotrope 2201 Filbert, San Francisco, California 94118. Illinois Free U 298 Illini Union, University of Illinois, Champaign, Illinois 61820. Kansas Free U 107 W 7th St. Lawrence, Kansas 66044. Knox College Free U Galesbury, Illinois 60401. Madsen Free UC/O P. Carroll, 1205 Shorroot Boulevard, Madsen, Wisconsin 53705. Metropolitan State Free U Associated Students, 1345 Banrock Street, Denver, Colorado, 80204. Michigan State Free U Associated Students, Student Service BLDG. Michigan State College, East Lansing, Michigan 48823. Mid-Peninsula Free U 1060 El Camino Real, Menlo Park, California 94015. Minnesota Free U 1817 S 3rd St. Minneapolis, Minnesota 55404. Monterey Peninsula Free U 2120 Etna Place, Monterey, California. New Free U Box ALL 303, Santa Barbara, California 93107. Northwest Free U Box 1255, Bellingham, Washington 98225. Ohio Wesleyan Free U Box 47, Welsh Hall, Ohio Wesleyan University, Delavan, Ohio, 43015. Pittsburgh Free U 4401 Fifth Ave, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 15213. Rutgers Free U Rutgers College, Student Center, 1 Lincoln Avenue, Newark, New Jersey 07102. St. Louis Free UC/O Student Congress, 3rd floor BMC, St. Louis University, St. Louis, Missouri 63103. San Luis Obispo Free U Box 1305, San Luis Obispo, California 94301. Santa Cruz Free U 604 River St. Santa Cruz, California 95060. Seattle Free U 4144 University Way NE, Seattle, Washington 98105. Southern Illinois Free U Carbondale, Illinois 62901. Valley Free U 2045 N Geneve, Fresno, California 93704. Washington area free U5519 Prospect Place, Chevy Chase, Maryland 20,015 and 1854 Park Road Northwest Washington, DC.C. 20,010. Wayne Locke Free Student Congress, University of Texas, Arlington, Texas 76,010. And a complete list of experimental schools, free universities, free schools, can be obtained by sending $1 to Alternatives. 1526 Gravenstein Highway North, Sebastopol, California 97,452, and requesting the Directory of Free Schools. 7. FRE Medical Care. Due to the efforts of the Medical Committee for Human Rights, the Student Health Organization and other progressive elements among younger doctors and nurses, free people's clinics have been happening in every major city. They usually operate out of storefronts understaffed with volunteer help. An average clinic can handle 50 patients a day. If you've had an accident or have an acute illness, even a bad cold, check into the emergency room of any hospital. Giving them a sob story complete with phony name and address. After treatment they present you with a slip and direct you to the cashier. Just walk on by, as the song suggests. A good decoy is to ask for the washroom. After waiting there a few moments, split. If you're caught sneaking out, tell them you ran out of the house without your wallet. Ask them to bill you at your phony address. This billing procedure works in both hospital emergency rooms and clinics. You can keep going back for repeated visits, up to 3 months before the cashier's office tells the doctor about your fractured payments. You can get speedy medical advice and avoid emergency room delays by calling the hospital, asking for the emergency unit and speaking directly to the doctor over the phone. Older doctors frown on this procedure since they cannot extort their usual exorbitant fee over the phone. Younger ones generally do not share this hang-up. Cities usually have free clinics for a variety of special ailments. Tuberculosis clinics, venereal disease clinics, and free shot clinics, yellow fever, polio, tetanus, etc., are some of the more common. A directory of these clinics and other free health services the local community provides can be obtained by writing your Chamber of Commerce or local health department. Most universities have clinics connected with their dental, optometry or other specialized medical schools. If not for free, then certainly for very low rates. You can get dental work repaired, eyeglasses fitted and treatment of other specific health needs. Free psychiatric treatment can often be gotten at the outpatient department of any mental hospital. Admission into these hospitals is free, but a real bummer. Use them as a last resort only. Some cities have a suicide prevention center and if you're desperate and need help, call them. Your best choice in a psychiatric emergency is to go to a large general hospital, find the emergency unit and ask to see the psychiatrist on duty. Birth control clinics. Planned Parenthood and the Family Planning Association staff numerous free birth control clinics throughout the country. They provide such services as sex education, examinations, pap smear and birth control information and devices. The devices include pills, a diaphragm, or a IUD, intrauterine device, which they will insert. If you're unmarried and under 18, you might have to talk to a social worker, but it's no sweat because anybody gets contraceptive devices that wants them. Call up and ask them to send you their booklets on the different methods of birth control available. If you would rather go to a private doctor, try to find out from a friend the name of a hip gynecologist who is sympathetic to the fact that you're low on bread. Otherwise one visit could cost $25.0 or more. Before deciding on a contraceptive, you should be hip to some general information. There has been much research on the pill, and during the past 10 years it has proven its effectiveness, if not its safety. The two most famous name brands are Ortho Novum and Envoid. They all require a doctor's prescription. Different type pills are accompanied by slightly different instructions, so read the directions carefully. In many women, the pills produce side effects such as weight increase, dizziness or nausea. Sometimes the pill affects your vision and more often your mood. Some women with specialized blood diseases are advised not to use them, but in general, women have little or no trouble. Different brand names have different hormonal balances. Progesterone, estrogen. If you get uncomfortable side effects, insist that your doctor switch your brand. If you stop the pill method for any reason and don't want to get pregnant, be very careful to use another means right away. Another contraceptive device becoming more popular is the IUD, or the loop. It is a small, plastic or stainless steel irregularly shaped spring that the doctor inserts inside the opening of the uterus. The insertion is not without pain, but it's safe if done by a physician, and it's second only to the pill in prevention of pregnancy. Once it's in place, you can forget about it for a few years or until you wish to get pregnant. Doctors are reluctant to prescribe them for women who have not borne children or had an abortion because of the intense pain that accompanies insertion. But if you can stand the pain associated with 3 to 4 uterine contractions, you should push the doctor for this method. Inserting it during the last day of your period will make it easier. The diaphragm is a round piece of flexible rubber about 2 inches in diameter with a hard rubber rim on the outside. It used to be inserted just before the sex act, but hip doctors now recommend that it be worn continuously and taken out every few days for washing and also during the menstrual period. It is most effective when used with a sperm-killing jelly or cream. A doctor will fit you for a proper-sized diaphragm. The next best method is the foams that you insert 20 minutes before fucking. The best foams available are Delphin and Emco. They have the advantage of being non-prescription items, so you can rush into any drugstore and pick up a dispenser when the spirit moves. You follow the directions carefully. Unfortunately, these foams taste terrible and are not available in flavors. It just shows you how far science has to go. Another device is the prophylactic, or rubber as it is called. This is the only device available to men. It is a thin rubber sheath that fits over the penis. Because they are subject to breaking and sliding off, their effectiveness is not super great. If you are forced to use them, the best available are lubricated sheepskins with a reservoir tip. The rhythm method, or Vatican roulette as it is called by hip Catholics, is a waste unless you are ready to surround yourself with thermometers, graphs and charts. You also have to limit your fucking to prescribed days. Even with all these precautions, women have often gotten pregnant using the rhythm method. The oldest and least effective method is simply for the male to pull out just before he comes. There are billions of sperm cells in each ejaculation and only one is needed to fertilize the woman's egg and cause a pregnancy. Most of the sperm is in the first squirt, so you had better be quick if you employ this technique. If the woman misses her period, she shouldn't panic. It might be delayed because of emotional reasons. Just wait 2 weeks before going to a doctor or clinic for a pregnancy test. When you go, be sure to bring your first morning urine specimen. Abortions. The best way to find out about abortions is to contact your local women's liberation organization through your underground newspaper or radio station. Some family planning clinics and even some liberal churches set up abortions, but these might run as high as $700. Underground newspapers often have ads that read, "Any girl in trouble call," or something similar. The usual rate for an abortion is about $500 and it's awful hard to bargain when you need one badly. Only go to a physician who is practicing or might have just lost his license. Forget the stereotype image of these doctors as they are performing a vital service. Friends who have had an abortion can usually recommend a good doctor and fill you in on what's going to happen. Abortions are very minor operations if done correctly. They can be done almost any time. But after 3 months, it's no longer so casual and more surgical skill is required. Start making plans as soon as you find out. The sooner the better, in terms of the operation. Get a pregnancy test at a clinic. If it is positive and you want an abortion, start that day to make plans. If you get negative results from the test and still miss your period, have a gynecologist perform an examination if you're still worried. If you cannot arrange an abortion through women's liberation, family planning, Sympathetic clergyman or a friend who has had one, search out a liberal hospital and talk to one of their social workers. Almost all hospitals perform therapeutic abortions. Tell a sob story about the desertion of your boyfriend, or that you take LSD every day, or that defects run in your family. Act mentally disturbed. If you qualify, you can get an abortion that will be free under Medicaid or other welfare medical plans. The safest form of abortion is the vacuum curettage method, but not all doctors are hip to it. It is safer and quicker with less chance of complications than the old-fashioned scrape method. Many states have recently passed liberalized abortion laws, such as New York *. By far the most extensive, Hawaii and Maryland, due to the continuing pressure of radical women. The battle for abortion, and certainly for free abortion, is far from over even in the states with liberal laws. They are far too expensive for the 10 to 20-minute minor operation involved, and the red tape is horrendous. Free abortions must be looked on as a fundamental right, not a sneaky, messy trauma. *, there is a residence requirement for New York, but using a friend's New York address at the hospital will be good enough. The procedure takes only a few days and costs between $200 and $500, depending on the place. The best advice is to call one of the New York abortion referral services or birth control groups listed in the New York directory section. Diseases treated: FREE, Syph and clap, syphilis and gonorrhea, are two diseases that they are easy to pick up. They come from bawling. Anyone who claims they got it from sitting on a toilet seat must have a fondness for weird positions. Both men and women are subject to the diseases. Using a prophylactic usually will prevent the spreading of venereal disease, but you should really seek to have it cured. Syphilis usually begins with an infection which may look like a cold sore or pimple around the sex organ. There is no pain associated with the lesions. Soon the sore disappears even without treatment. This is often followed by a period of rashes on the body, especially the palms of the hands, and inflammation of the mouth and throat. These symptoms also disappear without treatment. It must be understood, however, that even if these symptoms disappear, the disease still remains if left untreated. It can cause serious trouble such as heart disease, blindness, insanity and paralysis. Also, it can fuck up any kids you might produce and is easily passed on to anyone you ball. Gonorrhea, clap, is more common than syphilis. Its first signs are a discharge from your sex organ that is painful. Like syphilis, it affects both men and women, but is often unnoticed in women. There is usually itching and burning associated with the affected area. It can leave you sterile if left untreated. Both these venereal diseases can be treated in a short time with attention. Avail yourself of the free VD clinics in every town. Follow the doctor's instructions to the letter and try to let the other people you've had sexual contact with know you had VD. There are other fungus diseases that resemble syphilis or gonorrhea, but are relatively harmless. Check out every infection in your crotch area, especially those with open sores or an unusual discharge, and you'll be safe. Crabs are not harmful, but they can make you scratch your crotch for hours on end. They are also highly transmittable by bawling. Actually, they are a form of body lice and easy to cure. Go to your local druggist and ask him for the best remedy available. He'll give you one of several lotions and instructions for proper use. We recommend Quell. A common disease in the hip community is hepatitis. There are two kinds. One you get from sticking dirty needles in your arm, serum hepatitis, and the other more common strain from eating infected food or having intimate contact with an infected carrier, infectious hepatitis. The symptoms for both are identical: yellowish skin and eyes, dark piss and light crap, loss of appetite and total listlessness. Hep is a very dangerous disease that can cause a number of permanent conditions, including death, which is extremely permanent. It should be treated by a doctor, often in a hospital. FREE communication. If you don't like the news, why not go out and make your own? Creating free media depends, to a large extent, on your imagination and ability to follow through on ideas. The average American is exposed to over 1,600 commercials each day. Billboards, glossy ads and television spots make up much of the word environment they live in. To crack through the word mush means creating new forms of free communication. Advertisements for revolution are important in helping to educate and mold the milieu of people you wish to win over. Guerrilla theatre events are always good news items, and if done right, people will remember them forever. Throwing out money at the stock exchange or dumping soot on executives at Con Edison or blowing up the policeman's statue in Chicago immediately conveys an easily understood message by using the technique of creative disruption. Recently, to dramatize the illegal invasion of Cambodia, 400 Yuppies stormed across the Canadian border in an invasion of the United States. They threw paint on store windows and physically attacked residents of Blair, Washington. A group of Vietnam veterans marched in battle gear from Trenton to Valley Forge. Along the way, they performed mock attacks on civilians the way they were trained to do in Southeast Asia, dyeing all the outdoor fountains red and then sending a message to the newspaper explaining why you did it. Dramatizes the idea that blood is being shed needlessly in imperialist wars. A special metallic bonding glue available from Eastman Kodak will form a permanent bond in only 45 seconds. Gluing up blocks of all the office buildings in your town is a great way to dramatize the fact that our brothers and sisters are being jailed all the time. Then, of course, there are always explosives which dramatically make your point and then some. Press conferences. Another way of using the news to advertise the revolution and make propaganda is to call a press conference. Get an appropriate place that has some relationship to the content of your message. Send out announcements to as many members of the press as you can. If you do not have a press list, you can make one up by looking through the yellow pages under newspapers, radio stations, television stations, magazines and wire services. Check out your list with other groups and pick up names of reporters who attend movement press conferences. Address a special invitation to them as well as one to their newspaper. Address the announcements to City Desk or News Department. Schedule the press conference for about 11 o'clock a.m., as this allows the reporters to fill the story in time for the evening newscast or papers. On the day of the scheduled conference, call the important city desks or reporters about 9 a.m. and remind them to come. Everything about a successful press conference must be dramatic, from the announcements and phone calls to the statements themselves. Nothing creates a worse image than 4 or 5 men in business suits sitting behind a table and talking in a calm manner at a fashionable hotel. Constantly seek to have every detail of the press conference differ in style as well as content from the conferences of people in power. Make use of music and visual effects. Don't stiffen up before the press. Make the statement as short and to the point as possible. Don't read from notes. Look directly into the camera. The usual television spot is 1 minute and 20 seconds. The cameras start buzzing on your opening statement and often run out of film before you finish, so make it brief and action-packed. The question period should be even more dramatic. Use the questioner's first name when answering a question. This adds an air of informality, and networks are more apt to use an answer directed personally to one of their newsmen. Express your emotional feelings. Be funny, get angry, be sad or ecstatic. If you cannot convey that you're deeply excited or troubled or outraged about what you're saying, how do you expect it of others who are watching a little image box in their living room? Remember, you are advertising a new way of life to people. Watch TV commercials. See how they are able to convey everything they need to be effective in such a short time and limited space. At the same tune, you're mocking the shit they are pushing. Steal their techniques. At rock concerts, during intermission, or at the end of the performance, fight your way to the stage. Communication. Announce that if the electricity is cut off, the walls will be torn down. This galvanizes the audience and makes the owners of the hall the villains if they fuck around. Lay out a short, exciting rap on what's coming down. Focus on a call around one action. Sometimes it might be good to engage rock groups in dialogues about their commitment to the revolution. Interrupting the concert is frowned upon since it is only spitting in the faces of the people you are trying to reach. Use the culture's ocean to swim in. Treat it with care. Sandwich boards and hand-carried signs are effective advertisements. You can stand on a busy corner and hold up a sign saying, "Apartment needed, Free Angela, Smash the State," or other slogans. They can be written on dollar bills, envelopes that are being mailed, and other items that are passed from person to person. Take a flashlight with a large face to movie theaters and other dark public gathering places. Cut the word strike or revolt or yippee out of dark cellophane. Paste the stencil over the flashlight, thus allowing you to project the word on a distant wall. There are a number of all-night call-in shows that have a huge audience. If you call with what the moderator considers exciting controversy, he may give you a special number so you won't have to compete in the switchboard roller derby. It often can take hours before you get through to these shows. Here's a trick that will help you out if the switchboard is jammed. The call-in shows have a series of phones so that when one is busy the next will take the call. Usually the numbers run in sequence. Say a station gives out PL528,640 as the number to call. That means it also uses PL528,641, PL528,642 and so on. If you get a busy signal, hang up and try calling PLS 8647, say. This trick works in a variety of situations where you want to get a call through a busy switchboard. Remember it for airline and bus information. WALL painting. One of the best forms of free communication is painting messages on a blank wall. The message must be short and bold. You want to be able to paint it on before the pigs come, and yet have it large enough so that people can see it at a distance. Cans of spray paint that you can pick up at any hardware store work best. Pick spots that have lot of traffic. Exclamation points are good for emphasis. If you're writing the same message, make a stencil. You can make a stencil that says WAR and spray it on with white paint under the word stop on stop signs. You can stencil a 5-pointed star and using yellow paint, spray it on the dividing line between the red and blue on all post office boxes. This simulates the flag of the National Liberation Front of Vietnam. You can stencil a marijuana leaf and using green paint, spray it over cigarette and whiskey billboards on buses and subways. The Women's Liberation sign with red paint is good for sexist ads. Sometimes you will wish to exhibit great daring in your choice of locations. When the Vietnamese hero Nguyen Van Troy was executed, the Viet Cong put up a poster the next day on the exact spot inside the highest security prison in the country. Wall postering allows you to get more information before the public than a quickly scribbled slogan. Make sure the surface is smooth or finely porous. Smear the back of the poster with condensed milk. Spread on with a brush, sponge, rag or your hands. Condensed milk dries very fast and hard. Also smear some on the front once the poster is up to give protection against the weather and busy fingers that's like to pull at corners. Wallpaper. Pastes also work quickly and efficiently. It's best to work both painting and postering at night with a lookout. This way you can work the best spots without being harassed by the pig patrol, which is usually unappreciative of great art. USE of the FLAG. The generally agreed upon flag of our nation is black with red, 5-pointed star behind a green marijuana leaf in the center. It is used by groups that understand the correct use of culture and symbolism in a revolutionary struggle. When displayed, it immediately increases the feelings of solidarity between our brothers and sisters. High school kids have had great fights over which flag to salute in school. A sign of any liberated zone is the flag being flown. Rock concerts and festivals have their generally apolitical character instantly changed when the flag is displayed. The political theoreticians who do not recognize the flag and the importance of the culture it represents are ostriches who are ignorant of basic human nature. Throughout history, people have fought for religion, lifestyle, land, a flag, nation, because they were ordered to, for fortune, because they were attacked, or for the hell of it. If you don't think the flag is important, ask the hard hats. Radio, Want to construct your own neighborhood radio station? You can get a carrier current transmitter designed by a group of brothers and sisters called Radio Free People. No FCC license is required for the ranges less than 1/2 mile. The small transistorized units plug into any wall outlet. Write Radio Free People, 133 Mercer Street, New York, New York 10012. For more details. For further information, see the chapter on guerrilla broadcasting later in the book. FREA telephones. Ripping off the phone company is so common that Bell Telephone has a special security division that tries to stay just a little ahead of the average freeloader. Many great devices like the coat hanger release switch have been scrapped because of changes in the phone box. Even the credit card fake-out is doomed to oblivion as the company switches to more computerized techniques. In our opinion, as long as there is a phone company, and as long as there are outlaws, nobody need ever pay for a call. In 1969 alone, the phone company estimated that over $10 million worth of free calls were placed from New York City. Nothing, however, compares with the rip-off of the people by the phone company. In that same year, American Telephone and Telegraph made a profit of $8.6 billion. AT&T, like all public utilities, passes itself off as a service owned by the people, while in actuality nothing could be further from the truth. Only a small percentage of the public owns stock in these companies, and a tiny elite clique makes all the policy decisions. Ripping off the phone company is an act of revolutionary love, so help spread the word. POI phones. You can make a local 10-cent call for 2 cents by spitting on the pennies and dropping them in the nickel slot. As soon as they are about to hit the trigger mechanism, bang the coin return button. Another way is to spin the pennies counterclockwise into the nickel slot. Hold the penny in the slot with your finger and snap it spinning with a key or other flat object. Both systems take a certain knack, but once you have perfected the technique, you'll always have it in your survival kit. If 2 cents is too much, how about a call for 1 penny? Cut a 1/4 strip off the telephone boot cover. Insert the cardboard strip into the dime slot as far as it will go. Drop a penny in the nickel slot until it catches in the mechanism. Spinning will help. Then slowly pull the strip out until you hear the dial tone. A number 14 brass washer with a small piece of scotch tape over one side of the hole will not only get a free call, but works in about any vending machine that takes dimes. You can get a box of thousands for about $1 at any hardware store. You should always have a box around for phones, laundromats, parking meters and drink machines. Bend a bobby pin after removing the plastic from the tips and jab it down into the transmitter mouthpiece. When it presses against the metal diaphragm, rub it on a metal wall or pipe to ground it. When you've made contact, you'll hear the dial tone. If the phone uses old-fashioned rubber black tubing to enclose the wires running from the headset to the box, you can insert a metal tack through the tubing, wiggle it around a little until it makes contact with the bare wires and touch the tack to a nearby metal object for grounding. Put it down in the phone. Dial the operator and tell her you have 10 cents credit. She'll return your dime and get your call for free. If she asks why, say you made a call on another payphone, lost the money, and the operator told you to switch phones and call the credit operator. This same method works for long-distance calls. Call the operator and find out the rate for your call. Hang up and call another operator telling her you're just out San Francisco. Direct. Got a wrong number and lost $95 or whatever it is. She will get your call free of charge. If there are 2 payphones next to each other, you can call long distance on one and put the coins in the other. When the operator cuts in and asks you to deposit money, drop the coins into the one you're not using, but hold the receiver up to the slot so the operator can hear the bells ring. When you've finished, you can simply press the return button on the phone with the coins in it and out they come. If you have a good tape recorder, you can record the sounds of a quarter, dime and nickel going into a payphone and play them for the operator in various combinations when she asks for the money. Turn the volume up as loud as you can get it. You can make a long-distance call and charge it to a phone number. Simply tell the Operator, you want to bill the call to your home phone because you don't have the correct change. Tell her there is no one there now to verify the call, but you will be home in an hour and she can call you then if there is any question. Make sure the exchange goes with the area you say it does. Always have a number of made-up credit card numbers. The code letter for 1970 is S, then 7 digits of the phone number and a 3-digit district number, not the same as area code. The district number should be under 599. Example, S573, 2100 to 421 or S537, 3402 035. Look up the phone numbers for your area by simply requesting a credit card for your home phone, which is very easy to get, and then using the last 3 numbers with another phone number. Usually making up exotic numbers from faraway places will work quite well, as it would be impossible for an operator to spot a phony number in the short time she has to check our list. We advise against making phony credit card calls on a home phone. We have seen a gadget that you install between the wall socket and the cord, which not only allows you to receive all the calls you want for free, but eliminates the most common form of electronic bugging. They are being manufactured and sold for $50 by a disgruntled telephone engineer in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, you are going to have to find him on your own or duplicate his efforts, for he has sworn us to secrecy. If someone does, however, offer you such a device, it probably does work. Test it by installing it and having someone call you from a payphone. If it's working, the person should get their "I'm back" at the end of the call. Actually, if you know the slightest information about wiring, you can have your present phone disconnected on the excuse that you'll be leaving town for a few months, and then connect the wires into the main trunk lines on your own. Extensions can easily be attached to your main line without the phone company knowing about it. You can make all the free long-distance calls you want by calling your party collect at a payphone. Just have your friend go to a pre-arranged phone booth at a pre-arranged time. This can be done on the spot by having the friend call you person to person. Say you're not in, but ask for the number calling you, since you'll be back in 5 minutes. Once you get the number, simply hang up, wait a moment and call back your friend collect. The call has to be out of the state to work, since operators are familiar with the special extension numbers assigned to payphones for her area and possibly for nearby areas as well. If she asks you if it is a payphone, say no. If she finds out during the call, which rarely happens, and informs you of this, simply say you didn't expect the party to have a payphone in his house and accept the charges. We have never heard of this happening though. The trick of calling person-to-person collect should always be used when calling long distance on home-to-home phones also. You can hear the voice of your friend saying that he'll be back in a few minutes. Simply hang up, wait a moment and call station to station, thereby getting a person-to-person call without the extra charges, which can be considerable on a long call during business hours. If you plan to stay at your present address for only a few more months, stop paying the bill and call like crazy. After a month you get the regular bill, which you avoid paying. Another month goes by and the next bill comes with last month's balance added to it. Shortly thereafter you get a note advising you that your service will be terminated in 10 days if you don't pay the bill. Wait a few days and send them a $5 or $10 money order with a note saying you've had an accident and are pressed for funds because of large medical bills, but you'll send them the balance as soon as you're up and around again. That will hold them for another month. In all, you can stretch it out for 4 or 5 months with a variety of excuses and small payments. This also works with the gas and electric companies and with any department stores you conned into letting you charge. You can get the service deposit reduced to half of the normal rate if you're a student or have other special qualifications. Surprisingly, these rates and discounts vary from area to area, so check around before you go into the